On April 19, 1989, 5 young males were found wandering in Central Park. Because they were seen running from the police, they were arrested and wrongly convicted of sexually assaulting a 20-year-old white woman. While they provided evidence, the inconsistent accounts proved their innocence. Video recorded testimonies from the boys, and public opinion drove the verdict to declare these young men guilty. This narrative of men of color lacking self-control and assaulting innocent white women has occurred often in American history, and has frequently led to unjust incarceration and death. As a result of this perspective, these boys became victims of the law. The Constitution is a shield against governmental corruption. Yet Kevin Richardson, Antron McCray, Raymond Santana, Corey Wise, and Yusuf Salaam were robbed of their Fifth Amendment rights and Miranda rights. The Fifth Amendment and Miranda rights acts as a barrier designed to protect Americans from bearing the witness against themselves. By exposing them to crooked tactics like forcing each of them to state that they witnessed the others raping the female victim without the presence of an adult or a lawyer, the New York judicial system failed to uphold their rights and let these young boys spend 5 to 15 years in prison for a crime someone else committed. This is the Exonerated 5, breaking the law from the other side. On April 19, 1989, Tricia Mealy, then 28 years old, decided to go on a run after her 12-hour shift at Wall Street Investment Bank. She would frequently visit Central Park as she enjoyed the views. However, April 19, 1989 was not the norm for Tricia. Miss Mealy went for her run, and 2 hours later, her body was found beaten, naked, soaked in blood in a ravine on 102nd Transverse Street in the northern part of Central Park. When the police found the body, they assumed that she wouldn't survive. After a 12-day coma, she woke up and had no memory of the attack. After finding her body after it was dragged into the woods, the police desperately wanted to find those responsible. On the day of the attack, a group of kids were in the park wilding out. After several kids were spotted harassing bikers in the park, the cops received multiple calls about the troop. When the cops received the news about Tricia, they assumed it was directly connected to the teens. After receiving this information, the New York police force began quickly rounding up all the teens that were seen in the park that night. And the next day, they were still out looking for more kids connected to the black section of the park. After rounding up as many kids as they could find, 5 became clear as easy targets. Antron McCray was 15 years old when he was arrested. His father was his best friend, and Antron viewed him as a hero. After the arrest, his father exiled him to confess, even after he said he didn't do it, thinking his son would be set free. The amount of stress in the room affected him, and he had a hard time because both the cops and his father were screaming trying to force a confession. His dad was put on trial, and what he said backfired. Antron was sentenced to 6 years in prison. Corey Wise was the oldest out of the 5. At 16 years old, Corey was dragged into interrogation. He was not a part of the initial roundup. Corey was being a good friend by riding down to the station with his friend Yusuf. However, they pulled him aside and started to interrogate him. Corey also had hearing issues and learning disabilities, so it made him vulnerable to the pressure that was being brought on by the detectives. He gave into a videotape and a written confession. He was sentenced to 5 to 15 years, which were spent in adult prison. In prison, he faced a lot of dangers that damaged and nearly killed him. Yusuf Salaam was just 15 years old at the time he was brought in for interrogation. He was a very well-mannered young boy who excelled in school. After being interrogated, he was convicted and served over 6 years behind bars. While incarcerated, he stood strong in his faith and was released early on parole. Kevin Richardson was 14 years old when he was arrested. He was the youngest out of 5 boys. He was in the park with the other kids when the cops came, and Kevin was running away when he got hit in the head by a police's hat. He was left with a black eye. They used the black eye against him, saying that Tricia Mealy was trying to fight back. Kevin was sentenced to 5 to 10 years and served 6 years before being released. Raymond Santana was 14 years old when he was tried and convicted for the crimes against Tricia Mealy. He was found guilty and sentenced up to 10 years. He served time for almost 7 years and was then released on parole. After a while out on parole, Raymond faced hard times and was arrested for drug charges that he served for 5 years. The press played a large role in publicly demonizing these 5 boys. The press wanted the big story and didn't realize how they were ruining these boys' lives. Caught up in the storm of curiosity, the New York's media sanitized the early information, which only made the public want to know more. Articles like these pointed towards the boys' guilt long before the court case. Donald Trump, a New York real estate tycoon at the time, wanted to make public his opinion. He paid $85,000 for an ad that said death penalty should be reinstated for these boys. Even after the boys were found innocent, the press, cops, detectives, and more never came out and apologized after everything they said and did.
You better believe that I hate the people that took this girl and raped her brutally. You better believe it. And it's more than anger, it's hatred. And I want society to hate them.
No person shall be held to answer for capital or otherwise infamous crimes, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be witness against himself. When the boys were incarcerated, they were not given the opportunity to meet with a lawyer or a representative. They were terrified, and the police used that fear to create a narrative. The officers involved assumed these teens were guilty and used tactics that would not have been successful had the 5 boys had access to proper representation. The detectives isolated Kevin and claimed that the other boys were placing the blame on the rape on him. They repeated this process with each boy. Desperate to clear their names, each individual was willing to lie about what they witnessed. With these coerced statements, the police were able to scare the boys and to give them rehearsed and recorded narratives of what happened.
This will be my last. So when they did that, they just went on. They just went on with this.
Then Antoine had this little steel bat, not a bat, but it's like a pipe or something.
How big was the pipe? Who hit him with a pipe?
Antoine hit him with a pipe.
What kind of a pipe was it?
Like this long.
Was there any tape on the pipe? Where did the pipe come from?
I don't know, I guess he found it.
These videos served as the primary evidence against the 5. According to the Fifth Amendment and Miranda rights, evidence that is found where these rights are not followed is typically thrown out. However, despite the evidence being obtained through manipulation, it was only one of the factors that persuaded the jury. The 5 boys, known as the Central Park 5, suffered many years behind bars for something they had no part of. They had their teenage years ripped away from them. In 2002, the 5 boys were exonerated for their crimes against Trisha Mealy. While Corey Wise was in prison, his paths crossed with a man named Mateus Reyes. Reyes was the man that actually committed the crime and felt guilty for allowing Corey and his friends to suffer. He saw the pain from their encounter. Reyes later went to the police and confessed to being the sole attacker against Trisha Mealy. His DNA was a match with the evidence. Reyes has committed many other brutal attacks, starting when he was only 17. Even after the attacks on Trisha Mealy, he continued a spree of more after not being caught. They eventually found out he was guilty of committing many more brutal rapes. The case of the Exonerated 5 is a tragic, yet well-known example of the harsh reality that many Americans face. We have a long history of individuals getting wrongly convicted for crimes someone else committed. So many lives are being taken away from the people who are being locked up because the Fifth Amendment and Miranda rights procedure is not being followed properly. In the recent months, it has become a well-known problem, and many people are stepping up to help those who are serving time for these barriers being broken. The Exonerated 5 have used their injustice to educate the public and work to support others whose incarceration was the sole abuse of the law. As we move forward, it is crucial that we are careful not to determine guilt or innocence based on one's skin color.